Dean Gornitis here of Unleash this book review thing that I do on YouTube, where every Saturday I talk about a book that I read throughout the week beforehand. And then I give you my amateur opinions on it, and then I tell you what I'm going to read again for the next week. And some people like to read along, and some people like to leave comments, and I love it, and I love the friends I've made, and I love reading books, and I'm just a happy guy because of it. So I've been asked, thoughtfully, what my 5 favorite books were for Between Covers, a blog that I like, ran by a person that I like. And I obliged. Without further chit-chat, here's my list. Top 5 favorite books. Okay. Number 5, going with Waiting for Godot. Samuel Beckett. And when I first read this book in high school, I didn't get it. I didn't have the English chops to understand literature like this. It's actually a play, a 2-part play, relatively short, about 2 guys sitting around waiting for a man named Godot. And Godot never shows up. And I don't think I'm ruining too much by telling you that that's all that happens in the play. They sit and they wait. Brings some really crazy ideas to your head. Makes you question what is a book, what is a plot, what comes with storytelling. It can make you dive deeper than that into, existentialism and all sorts of religious concepts and stuff like that. It pretty much is as deep as you want to dive. And when I was in high school and didn't know how to swim yet, I thought it was really dumb. But as the years have gone by, and as I've read it a couple more times, it's really grown into one of my favorite, just absurdist books, really. Anything written. Brilliant stuff. For number 4, I'm going with Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. I'm pretty sure you probably all know of it and all either have an opinion on it or on Ernest Hemingway and his writing style. But this was the first book which really showed me as a youngin' that there's more to the English language and literature than plot. I had never been affected so much by a writing style. These, the short, brief, to the point sentence structure that Hemingway has made himself famous for first hit me here with Old Man and the Sea. And that aside, I do love the storyline and the plot here. Something about that old man is really moving, and even though he's a fictional character, I look up to him like a grandfather. I love the brevity of the novel, that you can read it in a day if you really want to. I just don't see any flaws in it, and it's a book that I've sat down with over and over and over again. I love it. It's a delight. I love how it's a nice little after dinner snack, if you want to say size-wise, in comparison to the much bigger books that are out there. If that makes sense. Number 3, I have listed as The Stranger by Albert Camus. And I probably still butchered that. And I reviewed this maybe a couple of months ago, pronouncing it Albert Camus. And I apologize for not knowing any better. But it's my teachers' and professors' fault, not mine. I wasn't properly educated. But this book has moved me so incredibly much. I read it for the first time months ago. Never even had heard of it prior to that. I don't know how it managed to slip through the cracks. And I can't remember the last time that I closed a book and sat still for as long as I did with The Stranger. This is just one of those books that is just, you think about it a lot. And Camus' ability to make an average everyday reader relate to and sympathize with what, in my opinion, and I think pretty much everyone else's opinion, give or take some, sympathize with a psychopath. To have feelings for a psychopath, to know what he's going through, is just an incredible feat that I could never pull off. And even that aside, what the main character goes through when placed in solitary confinement, there's nothing like it. I don't know how the author was able to understand what this felt like. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he did a lot of good research. Either way, mind-blowing stuff. Solitary confinement, being on your own, no sense of time, no sense of weather changes, nothing like that. You know, it's something that we've pretty much all have contemplated before, but has never been written as well as in The Stranger. My second favorite book ever, and I know this might be kind of a shocker, maybe, among literary types. Maybe not. Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. I grew up on this story. My grandmother gave this to me when I was, I think, in second grade. Don't judge my grandmother for her book choices, but it scared the crap out of me, and I loved it. And I've loved it ever since. And as I've grown older, I've questioned the literary capabilities of Matheson and his storytelling and stuff. But I can't refuse it, and I can't deny it. Whether or not this is just my childhood speaking, or whether it really is a masterpiece, which I think it is. I mean, Stephen King cites it as one of the best horror stories ever written. It doesn't matter, because to me it's one of my favorites, and everybody in a way, shape, or form can relate to Robert Neville from the novel, the last man on Earth in a world of zombie apocalypse horror. He doesn't know why he survived. He thinks maybe he was contaminated with a lesser form of the disease earlier on. But then once everybody dies, it's him versus the vampires. And Matheson's version of vampires is much more similar to what we consider zombies today. But they are vampires in the book, and so he boards up his house with garlic and crosses and mirrors and all that stuff. And every day he has to go through the same routine of fixing repairs, fixing the generator, creating wooden stakes so that every day he can go out and hunt more vampires, which he knows is a hopeless cause, but he does it anyway because it's the only way he can keep away from the drink. I love it. I love what it says about mankind. I love how it keeps me up at night after I read it. I love pretending like I'm Neville sometimes sitting in my house. It's a great book, and I can't recommend it more. My number one. Hit the music. Hit it. David Foster Wallace, Infinite Jest. Now, I don't know if this is a product of my age, being only 23, because I know Infinite Jest is a 20-something book. Dave Eggers, another famous author who writes the introduction to Infinite Jest in its most recent copies, alludes to this, that it's a book that a lot of people seem to read in their early to mid-20s. So whether or not this resonates on an all-age level thing or just with my age group, I don't know, and I won't be able to tell until I get older and I reread it again. But one thing I know is that I'm gonna reread this book probably like 10 times before I die, and I probably would read it more, except that it's so freaking long and complicated. It's I think 1,079 pages, I believe, plus another maybe 100 to 200 pages of footnotes. This book is famous for its footnotes, constantly referring to the back of the book, making you flip back and forth to get more definition, more understanding. Sometimes the endnotes are really normal, simple endnotes, like explanations of drugs that you may have never heard of before that have really long names. stuff like that. But some of these are just like whole other chapters of the book, and notes that take 10 or 15 pages, a lot of times that are only one paragraph. It never stops, just bricks on the page, that just really delve into whole other areas of the book. If one thing I can recommend, it's don't skip the end notes, because the end notes play a vital role in the regular story. And whatever, I lost track of what I'm trying to say. But this book, there's nothing like it. There's dozens of characters that are hard to keep track of. Keep a notebook with you. Write down each character's name and maybe a sentence about who they are. All sorts of different areas that the book is taking place in, from a tennis academy to a drug rehab center to a chat taking place on top of a mountain to drugstores to coffee shops. It's across the board here. It's immensely dense, but at some point during the reading, and for everybody it's a different point, but it seems that everybody who tries hard enough does hit this point. Everything clicks and everything comes together. What's difficult is for some people this doesn't hit until page 300 or doesn't hit until page 500. And the book is huge, so when you're reading for 300 pages on very big pages with very small type, knowing that there's so much more of this to come, it can be discouraging, and a lot of people get turned away from that. And I don't blame them, because the first couple times I tried to read it, I turned away too. But on my third shot, when I went for it, something hit me, and it was euphoria. Plain and simple euphoria. David Foster Wallace may have suffered from anxiety unlike any of us have ever felt before, but because of that, he knew anxiety better than we do at all. And he was able to write about anxious minds, which we all have, in a way that has never been written before, and allows us to connect with it. Because let's face it, we're all anxious. We all have ADD. We're all stressed out all the time. It's part of the human condition, and it's something that Wallace mastered. Maybe he didn't master it, because in the end it seems like it got the better hand of him. But he got pretty damn well close. And what he shares with us is a look into the human condition unlike anything any author has ever read. Written, my bad. I know those of you who have read this understand my trouble here putting it into the words, but Infinite Jest is literally one of my best friends. A companion of mine that I trust, because I know that it understands everything about me, and I can only hope that someday I can understand everything about it. But no one, let alone nothing, has ever come as close to understanding who I am as a person as Infinite Jest. And understanding that everyone out there who's read Infinite Jest more or less feels the same way helps me understand that I'm not alone as much as I may feel, and neither are you, but we're all in this together. And I've never got to feel like that from a book as strongly as I have from Infinite Jest. You have to read it. Read it. There's no other book out there that's as important as Infinite Jest. I'm saying that, and I'm sticking to it. That's my top 5 books. I hope you guys have enjoyed what you've heard here, what you've seen here. I hope I didn't babble too much. If you're interested, check out my YouTube channel, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, you can get updates there if you're not a YouTube subscriber type of person, and watch my videos every week, weekly book reviews for you, for me, for whatever, because it's a habit I've gotten into and I'm going to keep doing it. Okay? Thank you to Between Covers. Thank you to you guys for watching, and take care of yourself. See you later.